Thank you so much. And I think like you just segued into my last question. So this is specifically for the young folks, the 3 young folks who are on the panel.
What were you trying to say, Shonda?
Oh, but listen, you still look like you do look beautiful.
Get off the couch.
No, you gonna stay right there. I got a question for you too.
Okay.
So, as a young person, how do you see your role in this work beyond voting? So, talk to me about like civic education. What does that really mean? And y'all are all youth activists up there.
Yeah.
So, as a young person, how do you see yourself in this work? Beyond just getting folks to register to vote, beyond getting folks to the polling places, but civic education. Like, why is this important to you, and how do you see your role in this work? Because y'all are all youth activists.
One thing that we should be educating our fellow peers to do is to not only get involved in voting, but to be a part of the process. Go be a governor, be involved in your city council, be involved in politics, be the next president if you want to. Like, there's opportunities out there to really work on creating political change on like government levels. And so I feel like one thing to help in terms of this, like, not just advocating for change, but to be that change, to be at that table. If they don't invite you to the table, make yourself a little table, like, whatever. Like, so just getting involved in that and seeing the importance of that role in the government system and stuff like that, I think is one thing we could do.
I think connecting both your point and Jason's point from earlier is that aside from just like having these discussions and doing this work,
right,
we also need to be out there and being a part of the work. So I think it's great that, we got the sweatshirts, we're out here, we're sitting down, YESpvd, like, it's all great, but I think we have to also, run and continue to further educate ourselves. And Shonda's always saying this, but challenge those people challenge us, ask questions, or educate yourself, and just like be more aware of what's happening, create your own narrative, instead of just, this film was great, but what else can you provide, and what else do you have to say about the issue?
I think also yes to both of those points, and to like I don't know, join orgs, join youth orgs, like also like hold the people that are in your government like accountable, especially because like they're the ones making policies that are affecting your city wherever you are, and to like really really just research these things, because like the internet's out there, and yeah, check your credible sources, like Wikipedia ain't a credible source, but just like, and also like it's so important for youth to be a part of this work, because so often like our voices will literally be shut down, as they are right now, but not like in this moment, but like around this, but
I get it, Jason.
yeah. So I think it's important to like try and envision a career in politics and like education policy and policy in general. And if it's not for you, be supportive of the people that come from your community, and are pushing for the policies and the rights of the people that you like, or for the rights of like the people that from like where you come from, and like anything that you support, that only advances and like makes the world better.
Thank you, Jason. So there's a part B to that question, even though I didn't tell you this, but I'm telling you that right now. So there's a part B to the question, because right now we actually have, there's educators in the room. The commissioner was here. Oh, she's still here? She was eating. So there are like school level folks in the room, right? And we actually have a lawsuit up in this piece, called Cook versus Raimondo. So, and I know y'all have been in the forefront of that work. Some of our youth, are plaintiff. So talk to me about how that connects with this, and how education institutions can really actually support.
Okay, so right now, as Shana said, we're in a civic lawsuit, Cook versus Raimondo. It's essentially stating that in the education system, students are not getting the right to civic education that we deserve. Although in the Constitution, having civic education is not there, but the right to vote is. And how do you know how to vote, know the importance of voting if you're not educated on that? So essentially we're doing a lawsuit saying that we deserve that right to learn how to vote, to learn how to be civically engaged, because we are citizens of this country and we're not taught that in our education system. So that's essentially like what that is.
Nobody else wants to take it? Go ahead, Jason.
I mean, I don't.
No, go ahead.
Oh, if we don't have to.
You don't have to. And this last question, then I'm going to turn it to the audience, and we want y'all to also be engaged with the panel, is for Melissa. You just gave us like an amazing stat, but it's also a horrible stat, right? And saying like you are the only Black Deputy Secretary of State in the country, like in the country, not in Rhode Island, but in the country. So, what are some actions your institution is taking or committing to take to engage more young people civically?
Civically, yeah.
Right.
We're taking a lot of different actions. So one of the things that I've been doing with some of the community organizations is talking to them about voter engagement. The reality, and they kind of touched upon it in the video, the reality is, yes, voter registration is important, but ensuring that your voter registration information is updated. So any of you who are already registered to vote, make sure that your information is updated. Know what the process is to vote in the state of Rhode Island. We go around, we've made many infographics. I talk about this on a regular basis because the reality is that the structure is different in every single state. And so the way that elections is structured in Rhode Island, the Board of Elections is responsible for day of in anything after, so post-election audits. My office is responsible for the Central Voter Registration System so that we keep all of your information, and we're the ones who's responsible for the voter rolls. We're responsible to make sure that we put forth laws, and so we're trying to go out as much as possible to teach youth, elderly, because those are generally the populations that have the most difficulty, to let them know that you have to make sure that those things are in place. So we've done online voter registration. We have that in our state. We have automated voter registration, which is you go into the DMV and you're automatically registered to vote. So we have a lot of laws in place that go back to some of the points that were brought up. And what we're doing with that information is we're going into the schools. We go to as many schools as humanly possible in a year to make sure that kids are pre-registered, because if you didn't know, you have to be 16 years old to pre-register in the state of Rhode Island. We double check with all of the schools to ensure that if they want to have the kids do actual elections, if you're voting for your president and your vice president of school, you can ask our office to come to your school and you can do that on the actual election equipment. You can use poll books. You can use actual ballots. We print the ballots with your names on them, so you can actually see what a ballot looks like. You can know exactly how you insert it in the machine, and then our staff is there to answer any of the questions that the kids have. And at that point, we also register them to vote. So we're in the schools, we're in the community. We pretty much, for the most part, depending on whether or not we have conflicts, we will come out to you anywhere that you are. So make sure that you, again, hold us accountable. Make sure that you're reaching out to us, because we will come to you no matter where you are.
And Melissa, so these services that you offer in addition to what you already do as an entity in the state, for let's say Providence, Woonsocket, Cranston, Pawtucket, Central Falls, how many of those school districts have taken advantage of those services?
That is
I point that out because they're the
question.
most disenfranchised and the most socioeconomically marginalized communities. So I just kind of want to, because I don't know that.
No, that is a really great question, because I've been in this position for 2.5 years, and none of them actually respond to us.
And who responds to you? Who
We-
responds?
yeah.
Who responds to you? What school district? Do they?
There's Providence, Barrington,
Okay.
all of those school districts or schools will respond to our letters. So annually, we send letters and we follow up with phone calls to every high school in the state of Rhode Island to say, we want to come into your school to do voter education and voter information, voter registration. We want to be able to conduct your school elections.
And none.
And they don't respond. Luckily, I'm from Providence,
That's
so
right.
I know the vice principal of Hope. I mean, the principal of Hope High School.
Right.
So I was able to get into Hope only because of my relationship with the principal. But I can't get into other schools because I don't have relationships. And as much as we reach out, the school principals don't reach back. So I've been in Mount Pleasant High School, again, because I know the staff. I have not been able to get into Central, and I went there. I have not been able to get into Classical, and my daughter goes there. So it
Thank
is.
you for keeping it real.
Right.
Thank you.
It's the reality. It's the reality. And as much as we push, as much as I'm a part of the community, as much as I know people, and in our city, in our state, it's hard for me to get into the schools.
Right. Right.
So how do we make that happen?
So I'm going to turn
sorry.
the questions to the
Before
audience.
she leaves,
Yeah.
I mean, before Melissa, Melissa's a good friend, we know each other. I just want to add to that the second layer under that, at the Pawtucket School District, every year, in fact, we just did a voter registration drive in the cafeteria all week long. We registered about 150 kids just 10 days ago. But the reason I mention that is because we work directly with Ken McGill in the Pawtucket Board of Elections.
Yep.
So it's not just you guys that people need to hold accountable,
It's the
but
Board
it's
of
also the
Elections.
Board of Election in your
That's right.
city and municipality.
That's right.
We happen to
Melissa,
have
you
a
say
great
that all the
relationship.
I say that all the time.
She
Yes,
does.
you're right.
So-
The Board of Elections and your local city
it's-
and town canvassers.
Right,
Absolutely.
and it's student driven. They bring the polling machines there.
Yep.
They practice with both the traditional machine and the people who have special needs.
Yes.
We do a what do you call it? Doing I think it's called a live act, auditorium event. We
Yep.
bring all the students together, and it's important before kids graduate that they hear this,
That's right.
because they won't get the support once they graduate from high school that they can get during the high school
Yep.
period.
Right.
And we have been to Central Falls. Central Falls has been awesome.
Awesome. I'd like to turn to the audience. If y'all have some questions, understand that this is a youth-centered space, so if you're an adult and you know you can enter the space, shut your butt up.
Well, no, you said I'm gonna shut up.
Does anybody have questions here? I know there's a lot of whole young people here. Anybody have any questions they're dying to ask? If not, I'm gonna move over here. Is there questions over here?
There was one.
Oh, where?
My name is Jennifer and I'm a junior at Classical. And I just wanted to know if you guys have visited the schools directly in person and asked them to go and educate our students about how to register.
Ask the question again. I'm sorry.
If you guys have gone directly to the schools and met with the principals physically and asked them.
So we have in some instances. So just to kind of give you perspective, in the Secretary of State's office, my entire election division is 4 people. So it's me and 4 people for the entire state.